Okay, in today's video we're just having a look at the firmware update for the S1 Mark II, the S1 Mark IIe and the S1R Mark II. So we've talked about this before, we knew this firmware update was coming, but we'll just have a quick look through and check out some of the things maybe that weren't in the announcement. So today it's just for those three cameras. We don't have any lens updates or anything, and there's nothing under Micro Four Thirds, so it's just these three cameras. So if you own one of these, this is kind of worth checking out. So we've got the version 1.1 updates for the S1 Mark II and the Mark IIe, so we can jump in and have a look. And these two are pretty much the same, but we'll kind of have a look and just go through like one of them and see what's there. So you can see in here we've got compatibility with Capture One's been improved. So basically now you've got like this kind of you can do wired and wireless capture with Capture One, which is like a fairly new implementation, the Capture One implementation. So it's sort of, you know, seems to be like a constant work in progress, but now there's some like additional ways you can kind of connect to that. So that's nice if you're using that software. We've got the Arilog C3 upgrade key compatibility. So again, you're not getting Arilog C3, it's not going to be there in your picture profiles, but if you want to upgrade to it, there's a key which is, I believe, £179.99 in sort of like British pounds, and that will basically let you get the Arilog, the log profile for that. So if you're using Arri cameras and you want to kind of color match and things like that, then it can be really useful for that. I'll leave a link to the upgrade key page, and then, you know, all the information's there, so you can kind of check that out. So that's basically just an option in the menu to be able to upgrade to it. We've got the focus stacking feature, which it's really nice that they've added this back in. Like it kind of disappeared for a while and now it's back again, which is nice because I quite like the focus stacking features, because I shoot macro quite a lot, so it's really nice to have that in camera. It's not always perfect, but you know, it's pretty good that you can do that. So that's nice that they've added that back in. Hopefully we might see that kind of trickle down to some of the other cameras as well. I'm not really sure on that. We've got the enhanced pixel refresh function, which they didn't even talk about this in any of the announcements or anything. It's basically just an updated way that it's doing it. You can see in there it just says that the option is on automatically when you update. So, you know, that's just kind of there in the background. If you don't know what pixel refresh is, I'll leave a link to you know, what it is and what it does. And then you can see other enhancements. The color of the AF frame can now be changed, which is interesting. You've got the new frame markers, so up to 3 frame markers, so you can do your kind of like, you can visually see your crops for all your different outputs, so whether that's kind of like verticals, horizontal and square, whatever it may be. So that's nice to have that in there. You've got compatibility with some new OM digital flashes, so that's like Olympus flashes, and it's just got in there other operational stability updates. And so that one's essentially for the S1 Mark II, and then the E, again, version 1.1 update. So these are like the first updates that these cameras have had. You can kind of see that if you scroll down, you know, there's no other updates there, it's just this one. And again, it's exactly the same, so all the same stuff in there as the S1 II, so there's no difference in there at all. And as we said before, the S1R Mark II is basically, this is like the big update with all the extra stuff in there. So, you know, if you've got this camera, this is the obviously a big one to update to. You can see how big the update is. And there was like a little bug fix update before this, so if you haven't already got this one, obviously it's worth updating to that anyway, because that was just a few bug fixes that sort of came out when the camera was released, which is fairly common. And then you've got the here, the 1.2 version, so you can see all the things in there. There's absolutely loads of it. It's probably actually the biggest firmware update I think I've seen come to a camera, but they did say that it would come in early doors, and you know, some of it is probably just stuff they should have shipped with, but maybe they didn't have time. So you can see here you've got support for raw video output via HDMI to Atomos recorders has been added, And you can see some of it is absolutely huge. So you've got like 8.1K, 7.2K, 5.7K, and you can see it can all be outputted over HDMI. It's got on there like the supported monitors. But you have to bear in mind with this that not actually all of them can do that. So like, for example, I've got the Ninja 5, which is this one here, and that can only do like 4K 60. So if you've tried to connect it to one of the monitors that doesn't support those higher frame rates, like you're not going to be able to output in those anyway. So just be sure if you're buying a monitor recorder for it that it's the right one that can shoot the right stuff. Generally with the Atomos ones, the Ninja Plus is like the old version of the one that shoots bigger resolutions, and the newer version of it is the Ultra. So it was the Ninja 5, now just called the Ninja, and the Ninja 5 Plus, now called the Ninja Ultra. And then the Shoguns are like the kind of newer ones. And then in here we've got the Ninja 5 and the Ninja don't support certain raw data. So that's basically, yeah, the ones that are higher frame rates. So yeah, that's like I say, worth noting there. If you're ever looking at those recorders, just make sure that they're going to record in the resolutions and frame rates that you want. And then you've got in here, if you wish to edit video raw, same kind of below, and then that's just to do with, we'll go out to that. You've got the raw lookup tables here. So I'll leave a link to the main thing, and then that links out to all of those extra bits anyway, so you can kind of check all of that out. So you've also got the support for RAW for HDMI for Blackmagic design recorders. A little bit of this I'm a little bit unclear on, but essentially, you know, this is using the Video Assist 5, the Video Assist 7, so it's the 12G HDR versions of both. And you know, generally that's going to be, you can record ProRes and you can record Blackmagic RAW or B-RAW, but it also says on here you can record Apple ProRes RAW, which I was a bit confused about because I didn't think you could record that on the Blackmagic Video Assist, unless that's like a new feature that they've just added in. So I kind of going to have to look into that a little bit more. But again, you've got the option for these kind of higher resolutions over those recorders. But I mean, if that does allow ProRes RAW as well as B-RAW, then that makes that a very versatile recorder, because then obviously you can do ProRes RAW and Blackmagic RAW. So I mean, unless I'm reading that wrong, maybe someone can correct me there, because like I said, I've got one of the Ninja 5 recorders, but I don't have a Video Assist. But you've got on there, you've got the that you can do the SSD recording on there, which is you can basically plug a hard drive into the Video Assist, and then it says in there that you know, Resolve Studio is required for Blackmagic RAW, which is, you know, that's like their native RAW codec for that editor. Basically, that's obviously the Blackmagic editor, DaVinci Resolve. And then you've got things like compatibility with the DJI gimbal. So that's the Bluetooth connectivity with some of the newer gimbals. So if you haven't used it, there's like some options on there that you can kind of set between the camera. You've got things like wireless recording and stuff like that. I'm still kind of in the dark ages of gimbals where I don't have any of that kind of Bluetooth functionality, but it's kind of all there if you want it on like the newer cameras. It's quite useful, to be honest. On my one, it's still wired, but you've got all these newer features here now. And you can see on there the Capture One again, which we've already talked about, so the new kind of connectivity there. You've got timecode sync functionality with external devices being added, and this is for the Atomos UltraSync Blue, which I can leave a link to in the description. You can kind of check that out. Yeah, that's obviously an external product that you would have to buy to work with it, but you've got an option for timecode there. And then you've got the ARRI log upgrade again. We've talked about that, so we won't talk about it again. You know, it's just the option to get the key for the upgrade there. And you can see this is one of the big ones that they kind of flagged when they were releasing the camera that they were going to add this in there. And these are essentially the open gate options, which I'll link to a video about it, but basically it's using the full sensor. So the sensor on these cameras is 3x2, and you've got an 8.1K and a 7.2K shooting option there. So sort of 8.1K and 7.2K open gate, as it were. I mean, really with that one being the main one, but yeah, you've got those options in there. You've got the internal proxy recording function for RAW as well, so over HDMI, and then recording proxies as backup, which is really nice. That's a really good feature, so that's quite a nice, like, welcome addition there. HEIF format's been added, and you can see there as well, it's got HLG support for HEIF. The AF recognition, and that also, if you kind of don't know about it, is basically like it's another compression type of images, basically. So if you're using kind of JPEG, it's kind of like a more compressed, but it's hard to explain. It's basically a better compression type than JPEG. You get like fairly good flexibility and stuff in it. I'll leave a link where you can read up a little bit more about that, but it's just another option on top. It's not replacing anything, it's just another option you can use. And then you've got AF recognition has been enhanced. You've got this urban sports recognition in the AF mode that you can kind of choose. You've got focus stacking again, which we've already talked about. The enhanced image copying function, this is quite a nice one. So with the SSDs before, could never communicate with the cards in Lumix cameras. So the GH6 being like the first one that could do SSD support. And from then, we've never really had anything that can communicate between each other. So you could never really do a backup from an SSD, whereas now they've kind of made it possible to be able to actually copy directly. So in this instance, you can you can copy things from SD and CF Express directly onto an SSD. So that's quite useful, really. That's quite a good little thing. So you've essentially got like an on-the-go backup there. I don't know how long these kind of copying files takes, but because obviously it shoots very large videos, but that's a nice feature to have, really. In your downtime you can get that offloading onto an SSD without having to take all the cards out and everything. You've got the improved focus ring operability for interchangeable lenses. So this is basically for some of the Lumix lenses. I think it's 3 lenses this is available on. And you can set a function to the focus ring, and you can also set the direction of it. So if you want to like set it clockwise or counterclockwise, you can do that. And if you're not using the manual focus ring, you can set it for kind of like white balance and aperture and things like that. And there's a link here for like the compatible lenses, so you can kind of come in and kind of check that out. But you can kind of see here that there's a chart of a few of them. I think the compatibility is going to be expanded, but it's essentially, from what I understood, it was kind of I think the 20 to 60 got it. You can see there the 50mm. Yeah, there's a 20 to 60, and the 24 to 60 also has it there, and the 24 to 105 as well. So you could kind of check back on this. I'm sure the compatibility will kind of expand as it goes, but it's at the moment it's just kind of a handful of lenses. I think I was slightly wrong there. It's like 4 lenses because there's that newer one as well. So yeah, that's that in there, which is they're all quite nice little features. You've got again enhanced pixel refresh, which we've talked about. Frame markers again we've talked about. This UVC USB video class, I believe that has to do with streaming. I'm not 100% about that. That's something I'll kind of need to look into. You've got the compatibility with the Olympus flashes, or OM Digital Solutions, like Olympus. And you've got the enhanced functions for Lumix Flow, which again is supposed to be coming to some other cameras, but there's still kind of no word on when that's happening. But you can kind of click out to this and you can kind of see the functions that have been added. So you've got like support for the S1R Mark II there, wireless connection by Wi-Fi as a monitor, the mirroring monitor function to wirelessly transfer that, and then you've got it for like from YouTube to another from USB to another device, and the enhanced display. So there's a few bits in there that are worth checking out. Like that's definitely worth installing if you haven't got Lumix Flow and you've got this camera, because it's kind of being designed around these newer ones. So that's definitely worth checking out. And then you've got things like, oh, okay, that's just an update for live cropping, which again is a feature that kind of dropped out of the cameras and they brought it back, which is nice because I like that live cropping feature. It's good for just quickly doing those kind of shots where you just want to start, well, either start wide or start kind of zoomed in and just play back and do it straight in the camera, which is quite useful sometimes. And then you've just got other improvements have been made, so just general stability updates there. So like I say, it's a pretty huge update, and there's been a few issues on like recent firmware updates for the Lumix cameras. They had like a bit of a nightmare with the S9 where it kind of got like, they rolled it out, rolled it back out again. So, it's not to say there aren't going to be like little bugs and things in here anyway, because it's a new camera. It's a real early version of like the firmware in this as well. So, but it's a really big firmware update, and there's some really great stuff in there, especially if you've got the S1ii Mark II. Like, that's a no-brainer to download that and get that all added. And I've got a video on like how you can do that, so I'll link to that. But yeah, if you've got any questions or bits, obviously just leave them in the comments. If you found this helpful, give the video a like. If you want to check out some kind of Lumix videos, like tutorial videos, there's a playlist on this channel, and please subscribe.